Guys and girls, this is Jerningham here, ladies and gentlemen. The people of Russia and Ukraine. Russia, rid of the forces collapsed of a ridiculous lightning. Ukraine counter offers. Channel 4, 2.5 million people have seen this on Channel 4. But it says on the September the 11th, 2022, Channel 4 News, obviously. And it says British to the Public Broadcasting Service. But anyway, apart from that, we're going to be talking about what's happening so far. They managed to capture a few towns and villages. Some people say, oh, they may think differently. Are they pushing back the Russians? It looks like they are. But will Ukraine win because of the weapons that Britain is sending and America and probably any other country like is Germany helping with the weapons or Australia? Who knows? Like I say, Putin's basically going to prisons to try and recruit more people that will fight for him on the front line and reduce their sentences probably. Will he get more women fighting the Russian army? Probably will. Ukraine have got their own ideas. If you're 60 to 30, you have to fight on the front line. If you're old, you don't. But there may be some old people on there, I don't know. But anyway, let's put Channel 4 on and see what we're going to have a look at on this news thing.
Blitzkrieg offensive. As successful as it was surprising, the Ukrainians say it's gone, quote, better than expected.
Дякую!
And she agrees. Thank you, she says. There's a warm breakfast waiting for you. The flags that fly around Kharkiv are Ukrainian once more. Russian forces, for now, caught by a counteroffensive, this area of northeastern Ukraine, liberated. In just 5 days, Ukrainian forces have retaken more territory than Russia had taken since April. Mounds of munitions lie left.
So fly Ukraine, is what I say.
So swift was the Russian retreat.
Good job, Ukraine.
They didn't even have time to finish their lunches, according to Ukraine's most senior soldier.
Wow. We could get a tank. Everyone can get a tank.
What these soldiers of social media are documenting,
they can fix them tanks in Ukraine and use one of the Russians.
Could be a defining moment in this 6-month-old war.
Let's see what Zelensky is saying. I believe that is winter is turning the point and it can lead to the complications of Ukraine. That's what he's saying there. You can see. You can't read you may know some Russian or whatever, some people don't. But I'll just read it anyway. So I'm going to the next page of what he says. So give me a second. I'm sorry it's taking me so long. Has he changed over the Ukrainian leader? There's nothing much happening at the minute, that's why I'm not showing it on the TV. Oh, yeah. We see how the Russian forces are feeling its different directions. Against these saying. There we go. So to keep pausing it so you can see both sides of me reading it. You've seen it for yourself, and if you speak Russian then you understand it. If we were a little stronger with weapons, we could reclaim territory faster. Zelensky is saying. There you go. I think the Russians had more guns, but who knows? More better weapons, but oh, I've just clicked off something by accident. I do apologise. I was watching that. So it's struggles of territory. You can hear him speaking. There we go. I'm going to put it back onto the screen now. Sorry for pausing it, but
major offensive had been on Kherson in the south. But since the beginning of the month, Ukrainian forces launched an audacious strike with lightning speed around Kharkiv, capturing an estimated 2,500 square kilometers in just a few days. But overnight they pushed further still. So far north of Kharkiv, like the troops are just 50 kilometers from the Russian border.
It's not Germany, it's like Russia against Russia.
Taking the villages of Vasilenkovia and Artemyivka. In all, a further 500 square kilometers in just 24 hours, according to Ukraine's most senior commander. And within this territory, the towns of Kupiansk, Balaklia, and the region around Izum, areas critical to Russian supply routes. So significant are the losses, a rare admission from the Russian state, though this is a strategic regrouping, not retreat, they claim.
In order of active the goals of special military operations, liberate Donbass, talk about the Donbass area. And as decisions were made regrouping Russian troops stand in by Belankeli and Lazimi regions. I can't read that properly. Perhaps you guys, girls, can read that. I'm struggling to read that. Oh, welcome to the stream. If you've just joined on the stream, we're talking about Russia and Ukraine, how far they're getting, who's winning, and if you have left a comment, thank you. If you haven't, then that's fine, also fine. So I'll be seeing all the messages actually in the live stream, and hopefully I'll be able to reply to all the messages, or I may be watching. This is a premium video, it's not a live video, it's a bit like live actually, but like I say, if you've been here, thanks for stopping by in the video, and yeah, so we're going to go back to the video now.
All part of a carefully crafted campaign, they
need to get this video back on.
Say to lure forces to the south, counter in the north, and confound Russian commanders on the ground too scared to make dynamic decisions.
When Ukraine attacked on multiple directions and using very quick decisions, and our commanders on the field, they have a lot of initiative and they are very autonomous, and that is completely opposite to what is in Russian army, which is very rigid and a kind of a Soviet-style army. That's why they collapse so quickly, because they just can't react.
In Zaporizhia, Europe's largest nuclear power plant has now been, quote, completely stopped. Shelled in recent months, power lines were restored last night, enabling the sixth and final reactor to be shut down. But Ukrainian success has been met with Russian vengeance. Last night, rockets and retribution rained down on Kharkiv, an occupier's reminder this war is not yet done.
Well, the Russian Ministry of Defense claimed today its forces were delivering high-precision strikes against Ukrainian army units in the Kharkiv region. Earlier, I spoke to the Ukrainian MP Maria Mezentseva, who represents Kharkiv's city centre in the Ukrainian parliament. I began by asking her what she knows about the situation in Kharkiv.
Today, we are seeing something absolutely incredible, something unprecedented. Ukrainian armed forces and special operations are conducting the liberation strategies for around more or less than 5-6 working days. And as a result, 3,000 kilometers of liberated territories and around 40 towns and villages under Ukrainian control, with Ukrainian flag in city centers and towns and villages.
40 towns have been retaken by the Ukrainians.
40 towns and villages, around that. I'm sure we will know more names and more images coming from the areas. Just before our interview, I've received a call from the representatives of Kharkiv Regional Administration confirming.
So Ukraine are taking 40 villages back up there.
From the front
That's
line.
good.
For Kharkiv as a city has been in the heart of this processes, it's very important to understand that the shelling is ongoing every day. So regardless the fact that the liberation strategies are working fine, Kharkiv, unfortunately, is witnessing shelling rockets from Belgorod, which is not very far on Russian territory, every day and night. My constituency, which is city center, was targeted just yesterday with 9 missiles.
But in the towns where there has been this extraordinary fight back, how have the Ukrainian soldiers been received, and what have the Russians left behind?
Everything they left were, some billboards saying Russia is taking care of you. Local citizens, local Ukrainians are meeting Ukrainian forces with tears. They're literally kissing the hands of Ukrainian soldiers. They are shaking, they're crying, they're smiling, they're recording these videos together. Ladies are asking if the soldiers want to eat, if they're hungry, if they need any medical assistance.
How does that make you feel that these towns, dozens of them, you say, as many as 40, have been liberated? How does that make you feel today?
You know, I have my relatives there, and okay, it's not like the closest one, but Ukrainians family are usually big and extended. It just made me cry. I was sitting in the plenary hall in Ukrainian parliament on Tuesday, and I was receiving the first news from the soldiers we're helping, we're in close contact with. And they were telling Maria, this is not yet public, but we are here. We can tell you that we are now fixing Ukrainian flag instead of the Russian one. I was just smiling, crying. It's a mixed feeling. It's just the feeling that something we are aspiring for.
Maria, have you been in touch with your relatives in the towns that have been liberated? What are they saying to you?
You have relatives who have been buried at those territories you couldn't access. And well, now you know you live in the historical moment, and you are trying to, regardless who you are, as President Zelensky said yesterday, we have all became of one profession, which is Ukrainian. And mission is to survive. I think our mission is in helping each other, in committing each other to this general line of victory, because we don't need peace as it is. We need a victory under Ukrainian conditions, and of course, peace and justice, which will come straight after.
Maria Mazenseva, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, earlier, I spoke to the eminent war historian, Professor Lawrence Friedman, whose latest book is Command: The Politics of Military Operations from Korea to Ukraine. I began by asking him to give a sense of the scale and significance of the Ukrainian counteroffensive.
Well, the scale is extraordinary. There's thousands of kilometers have been liberated in a matter of days. The Russians have been pushed back from areas they'd occupied for some time and caught completely by surprise, and they've now acknowledged it and pulled out of the whole Kharkiv province. It's significant because we really haven't seen anything like this on either side really in the war up to now. Not only a rapid movement forward, but also a rather bedraggled and hurried and panicky retreat from the other side. When Russia retreated a bit in March, they did so in a reasonably orderly fashion when they left the area around Kyiv. But this is obviously, they've left people behind, they've left equipment behind. It's not a good look.
And how have they allowed themselves to be humiliated in this way? How has that been possible?
Well, I think what happened was there's been a well-advertised Ukrainian offensive in Kherson, in the south, which is still going on. It wasn't a feint. It's very important to the Ukrainians. But the Russians diverted a large amount of force to meet that offensive, and in the process they left other areas rather thinly defended. So as a result, the Ukrainians, I mean, this wasn't just opportunistic. The Ukrainians, I think, had been preparing for this. They were able to develop yet another front in Kharkiv and punch through lines where there were poorly prepared troops in insufficient numbers to cope, which was soon surrounded and bypassed. So I think it's a big strategic error by the Russians, but an error that reflects the extent to which they've exhausted a lot of their capabilities and the various efforts they had made with their own offensives over the
Didn't move my clock. I put the other one in the living room. The noisy one because it keeps me awake.
So could this prove to be a really crucial turning point?
Oh yes, I mean, as I've tried to point out, when armies collapse, it can be quite quick. So now the problem that the Russians have got is that the areas that are most important to them, about which this war was supposedly all about, which is the Donbass, Donetsk, and Luhansk, are now much more vulnerable than they were before. And if the Russians start losing chunks of them, then I think Putin is in real difficulties. There's already considerable anger. So if the Russians start losing Donetsk and Luhansk as well, parts of them, then this could cascade. So it's hard to get one's head around the possibility that things could move that quickly to a quick conclusion. But to me, it seems as likely as this will drag on for some time.
Right. So, and a conclusion within weeks potentially.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to be careful, obviously. The Russians have got a lot of assets in the area. There's an awful lot of territory they hold. So it's a question of what momentum the Ukrainians can generate, how quickly the Russians can regroup and hold, and what the political dynamic is that's been set in motion. So, we've always got to be careful about not getting too far ahead of ourselves. But it's not impossible that this will bring matters to a conclusion quite quickly. So the Ukrainian morale is obviously pretty high at the moment, and they now know that they can achieve what they claim to be able to achieve, but haven't really demonstrated it to this extent up to now. The Russian morale, by contrast, will be pretty poor.
And what pressure might that put on Putin now that could contribute to the end of the war?
It's hard to know because we still know so little about decision making in Moscow, how well he's informed, how much he grasps the enormity of the blunder that he has made, and how he can acknowledge this. Whether they'll suddenly offer some negotiations to try to manage a more sort of dignified conclusion, or whether they'll carry on in a state of denial and pretend that they still have things under control. But it can't go on like this. At some point, something's got to give.
Professor Lawrence Friedman, thank you very much.
Well,
Pleasure.
Well, guys and girls and ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all enjoyed that video. Give it a like, give it a comment, share it with your friends. I'm glad Ukraine's winning and Russia's losing. Anyway, thank you for joining this video. Take it easy and see you in the next one. Peace.